The moon is our nearest neighbor in space. Most every night, when the sun goes down, the moon appears in our sky. Sometimes it seems perfectly round, and sometimes we can barely see it at all. Earth, our home, is a watery, cloud-covered planet filled with living things. While the moon is very different. People have never lived there, but a lucky few have been able to visit.
Space Shuttle Columbia to Mission Control. We have the lunar surface in sight. Request permission to land.
Mission Control to Space Shuttle Columbia. You are go for landing.
Imagine you're an astronaut preparing to land on the moon. You're on a special mission to find out if we could set up a permanent base there someday, a place where we Earth people could live. Mission Control is relying on you to find out the answers to some very important questions.
Why does the moon look different every night? What does the moon look like up close? What is it like to walk on the moon? Could we live on the moon someday?
Hey, Sax.
Mission Control eagerly awaits your return.
Hey, KT.
So get ready to explore the moon, our closest neighbor in space.
How big is the moon compared to the Earth? If the Earth is the size of a basketball, then the moon is the size of a tennis ball.
Have you ever wondered why the moon seems to change shape almost every night? Well, to understand why, you have to know something about orbits. You may already know that the Earth is always moving. Earth constantly spins like a giant top, even though we can't feel it. Plus, as it spins, the Earth also circles or orbits the Sun at the same time. So while all this is going on, the moon orbits the Earth. It spins too, but at a much slower pace. It takes the same amount of time for the moon to spin once as it does to orbit the Earth. That's why only one side of the moon faces Earth at all times.
This is the side of the moon we always see. For a long time, no one had ever seen the moon's dark side, the part that always faces away from Earth. Then, in 1959, 10 years before humans set foot on the moon, a Russian spacecraft called Luna 3 traveled around the moon and took the first pictures of its dark side. Since then, many other spacecraft have traveled to the dark side of the moon.
The moon does not make its own light. It looks like it does, but it shines because light from the sun is bouncing off its surface. Sometimes the sun shines on the whole face of the moon. Sometimes it shines on just a small part of it. The changes in the moon's appearance are called phases.
You can recreate the phases of the moon just like they happen in real life. You'll need one styrofoam ball, a pencil, a flashlight, and a darkened room. Stand with the light at one end of the room. With the styrofoam ball on the end of a pencil, hold it out in your left hand, facing the flashlight. You are the Earth. The styrofoam ball is the moon, and the flashlight is the sun. Raise the ball above your head. Be sure to hold the ball high enough so you can see the light. Notice how the light only hits the side of the moon away from you? This is the first phase of the moon called a new moon. It's easy to remember. New moon means no moon, as in, no moon that we can see from Earth. Now start turning to the left very slowly and watch what happens. Notice the sliver of sunlight on your moon? You've probably seen this crescent shape in the sky many times. When the right side of your moon is lit up, this phase is called first quarter. Keep turning. Be sure not to block the light with your head. When the moon is directly opposite the sun, with the Earth in between, the whole face of the moon is lit up. This phase is what we call a full moon. Switch hands and keep turning. The phases start to reverse. We go from a full moon to a quarter moon, back to a new moon. You've just completed all the phases of the moon. In real time, the moon takes about a month to go through these phases. In fact, the word month actually comes from the word moon.
Hey, remember when the ball blocked the light from the girl's view? This is called a solar eclipse. In other words, the moon blocked the sun from the Earth's view. This only happens about once every 5 years. And remember when the girl's head blocked the light from hitting the ball? This is called a lunar eclipse. In other words, the Earth blocked the sun from the moon's view. Lunar eclipses happen about once or twice a year. They are much more common than solar eclipses. So we now know why the moon looks different almost every night. But Mission Control wants a detailed report. It's time to take a closer look. Over 300 years ago, an Italian astronomer named Galileo looked at the moon for the first time with a newly invented instrument called a telescope. It was a long tube with magnifying lenses that could make faraway objects look bigger and closer. When Galileo looked at the moon with it, he saw amazing things. He saw mountains and valleys and lots of craters. He also saw large flat areas which he thought were oceans. He called them seas, or maria in Latin. Today, we still call them seas, even though astronauts have confirmed that there is no water in them.
The area that we're over right now looks like a sand pile my kids have been playing in for a long time. It's all beat up, just a lot of bumps and holes.
The moon is about 384,400 kilometers, or 239,000 miles away from Earth. That's why it looks so small in the night sky. In fact, to see the moon well, you need a good telescope. It's so far away, it would take about 3 days to get there, even in a rocket.
Ignition sequence start. Apollo 11 and Saturn gave us a magnificent ride.
1969.
That's one small step for man, one by a fleet for mankind.
The world watched on TV as United States astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first human beings to step on the moon. Their mission was named Apollo 11, and what they saw was very different from Earth.
Beautiful view. Ain't that something? Magnificent desolation.
There was no blue sky or green grass, no plants, no animals, and certainly no people. From the moon, they could see planet Earth. It looked like a colorful marble in the sky, much different than the dry, gray place the astronauts were visiting. They spent 3 hours on the moon's surface.
They're setting up the flag now.
The astronauts stuck the American flag in the ground. But there was a catch. Because there's no atmosphere on the moon, there's no wind to blow the flag. After all, without wind, a flag just hangs there. So the astronauts stiffened the flag with wire to make it look like it was blowing in the wind, even though it wasn't. Apollo 11's successful mission to the moon was celebrated by people from all over the Earth. In the first 30 years since man landed on the moon, 10 more astronauts have walked on its surface. Some astronauts used a space buggy called the Lunar Rover to take them to parts of the moon that earlier astronauts couldn't get to. With each visit, the astronauts conducted experiments and collected rocks to study back home.
Look at the size of that rock. Can't believe that is 13 inches. Look at the size of that biggie. It is a biggie, isn't it?
Scientists have learned many things from these rocks, including that the moon is the same age as the Earth and was made of similar stuff when it first formed billions of years ago.
Here on Earth, if you leave a footprint in the sand, it will eventually be washed away by the water or blown away by the wind. But on the moon, there is no wind or liquid water to be found anywhere. That means the footprints left by Apollo astronauts may stay there forever.
Do you know why there's no wind on the moon? Well, unlike the Earth, the moon doesn't have an atmosphere. Earth's atmosphere is like a protective blanket. It provides the air we breathe. It also provides the weather and prevents Earth from getting too hot or too cold. The moon, on the other hand, does not have an atmosphere. And without an atmosphere, there's no oxygen for living things to breathe. There's no weather, no rain, no snow, and no wind. With no atmosphere, the side of the moon that faces the sun gets extremely hot, and the side that faces away from the sun gets extremely cold. Earth's atmosphere also protects us from meteoroids. Meteoroids are small pieces of rock or metal that speed through space. When a meteoroid flies into Earth's atmosphere, it burns up. Rarely, a meteoroid will make it through the atmosphere and crash to the ground. When it does, it's called a meteorite. The moon, on the other hand, has no atmosphere, and that means there's no protection from meteoroids slamming into its surface. That's why the moon is covered with craters.
When space rocks, or meteors, hit a surface really hard, they can make a crater. The size of the crater depends on the size of the object that hits the surface. Scientists believe millions of years ago, hundreds of thousands of meteors struck the moon. creating the cratered surface we know today.
Because the moon is smaller than the Earth, it weighs a lot less. And because the moon weighs less than the Earth, it has less gravity, which is the force that keeps us on the ground. Gravity is also the force that keeps the moon orbiting around the Earth instead of flying off into space. Earth's gravity is 6 times greater than that of the moon.
No, dadgummit.
That means astronauts can jump higher and lift heavier things on the moon than they can on Earth.
I was strolling on the moon one day in a merry, merry month of May.
Because the moon is Earth's closest neighbor in space, its gravity does affect our oceans. The gravitational pull from the moon creates the high and low tides in our oceans, the rising and falling of ocean water along the coastlines. As the Earth spins, the moon's gravity tugs on the ocean closest to it, causing a high tide. Also, the solid Earth is being pulled slightly toward the moon and away from the ocean on the far side, causing a high tide on that side as well. The sides of Earth that aren't being tugged have low tides. Kind of cool that it's all because of our moon. Astronauts in training use special equipment to practice working in lower gravity. This is called the 1/6 microgravity training chair. It's like the one used during the Apollo program to train astronauts to walk on the moon. It makes you feel like you weigh 6 times less than you really do. Have you ever had to wear so many winter clothes that you could hardly move? Well, that's sort of what it's like to wear a spacesuit. These spacesuits are worn when astronauts are outside the spacecraft. They usually need some help getting into them. The spacesuit is thick and bulky because it's made of many layers. The layers protect the astronaut from extreme hot and cold temperatures in space. There's a way to control temperatures inside the suit, sort of like a built-in air conditioner. Tubes run through the spacesuit to the helmet, providing the astronaut with air to breathe. They also wear headphones and microphones in their helmets to talk to each other.
Roger that.
An astronaut can pull down a gold visor to protect his or her face from the dangerous rays of the sun. The visor works like super strength sunglasses. Even though the suits are hard to move around in on Earth, astronauts can move easier in space because there's less gravity to pull them down. In fact, before a mission, astronauts first train underwater, wearing full spacesuits. The floating feeling underwater helps them prepare for the floating feeling they will experience when out in space. Of all the cool tools the astronauts use, the spacesuit is one they can't live without.
Mission Control to Shuttle Columbia. Flight director says you are go for re-entry into atmosphere.
Shuttle Columbia to Mission Control. Roger that. Preparations for re-entry complete.
It's time to return back to Earth. Are we ready to present a report to Mission Control?
Why does the moon look different every night?
At night, the moon looks like it shines, but it is really just lit up by the sun. As the moon travels around the Earth, keeping the same side facing Earth at all times, we see a different sunlit portion almost every night.
What does the moon look like up close?
When Galileo looked through his telescope, he saw mountains, valleys, craters, and large flat areas. Astronauts from the Apollo 11 mission were the first humans to set foot on the moon's surface. What they found was a dry, empty place with no liquid water and no atmosphere. Craters are formed when meteoroids crash into the surface. The moon has many more craters than the Earth because it does not have a protective atmosphere.
What is it like to walk on the moon?
Gravity is the force that keeps us on the ground. Gravity on the moon is not as strong as on Earth. Earth's gravity is 6 times greater than that of the moon. That means you can jump 6 times higher on the moon than you could on Earth. The moon's gravity affects the Earth's oceans. Its gravitational pull creates the high and low tides.
Could we live on the moon someday?
If we lived on the moon, we would always need to wear a special spacesuit. Because the moon doesn't have air, there is no oxygen for us to breathe. Our spacesuit would have to provide us with air and would need to protect us from the extreme hot and cold temperatures. So it seems like it would be very hard to live on the moon. It's best that we stay right here. Although, it would be quite an adventure to go up and visit it sometime.
2, 3, 4.
Space Shuttle Columbia to Mission Control. We have touchdown.
Mission Control to Space Shuttle Columbia. Roger. Welcome back from your trip to the moon.